Phil Cohen here, Cohen on content and all things digital. I got Nikki Baird, RSR Research. Wait a minute. You hear me all the time talking about the importance of research, but usually I'm coming at you from the perspective of an ad-supported network. I know a big chunk of pie here is retail networks. So we're going to get a little bit on the what's going on with research at retail. Go ahead. What are you doing?
So we survey retailers on their perspective on their business challenges and the technologies that they're investing in for their future. And I would say one of the hottest topics right now is the future of the store. So online sales are increasing, store sales are flat, and retailers are looking at this huge investment that they've made in this asset and trying to figure out how are they going to re-energize the kind of return that they can get from that asset.
Okay, I'm following this. The online sales, a few years ago, I never bought anything online. The past holiday season, every single gift I gave, I bought online. I get that. Something else, when I go online, I go to the store, let me pick one. I can't think of names. But I pick a product. And then I pick another product and another product. Like, let's say I'm looking at make believe it's washing machines. And I can compare them. Now, when I go to the store, I'm just going to the store to touch it and feel it and see if I like it.
Right. So if you start your shopping trip in a store, you're actually at a disadvantage compared to if you start your shopping trip online, because the amount of information available online is so much bigger. There's user-generated content, there's the retailer's content, there's the brand's content. And so retailers are looking at, you have like a little placard in the store, right? That's all you get about the information about that product.
Yep.
So that's the opportunity for digital signage and for networks in the store, is to take all of that vast digital knowledge that's out there and get it to the shelf, get it where it has the most impact from the consumer's perspective in terms of influencing product choice and activating them to actually do something.
But you got to get me to the store first.
Yeah, now, I won't downplay that, and a lot of retailers are realizing that their digital presence plays a big role in driving people to the store, but for them, the biggest gap that they have in sort of their array of touch points with consumers is delivering on that promise at the shelf. And so that's where they're really struggling with. They have perfect visibility into what goes on online. How much time you spent on a page, what you put in your shopping cart, what have you bought last, all that stuff is there, and they don't have very much of that information at all in the store. So to get that, right, you have to follow people around, you have to put cameras on them, you have to do all sorts of crazy things that retailers have tried to do, but it gives a very incomplete, snapshot kind of picture. And so with the opportunity with putting screens in the store is there's a camera on the screen. Now you have a bigger point of view in terms of how consumers are shopping you. You have an opportunity to influence that because you've got that opportunity to bring that digital information
and
into
you research
the
all of this.
Yep.
And you report it. I have, put in mind, I have a retailers that advertise on my networks. They're looking for the perceived recommendation of a physician. So they're showing their product line, for example, and telling mom, this is good for your kid. And oh, by the way, if it's in the doctor's office, the doctor must agree with that. So they're using my digital screen to get them to the store. But now I know from my content people that they have a complete digital screen network throughout their stores. And it's a big chain. They told me that they're doing something with their smartphones between my screen and the screen in the store in their decision-making process. How do you measure, how does your research point up those values?
So, the value of connecting those two is being able to have that interactivity to understand what consumers are doing. From our perspective, we look at retailers see these gaps and are trying very hard to fill those gaps. In terms of what they're actually doing to fill those gaps, it's still kind of open because mobile's playing a role. They don't fully understand how consumers are using mobile as part of the shopping experience, as part of the whole decision path to purchase. That's where I think even consumers don't really know, right? They're still discovering what's possible. And so that's sort of both the opportunity and the challenge in retail today is trying to figure out, as consumers are figuring it out themselves, how to bring all these pieces into play in the customer interaction.
When you've conducted your research, whatever the protocols are, what are you delivering back to the retailer? What kind of report? What's it saying?
Right. So it's saying, retailers are struggling with these kinds of business challenges, and then here's some of the technologies that they're looking to invest in as a result of those, to help address those challenges. So one of the things that we found in our research is that retailers who tend to work more closely with the brands that they help sell tend to do better in marketing efforts than if they try to go it alone, or if the brand tries to go it alone. And that seems sort of, well, duh, kind of on the surface, right? But it's amazing how many retailers haven't really thought about, well, I have this manufacturer who has invested all of this in their brand and all of this content in their brand, and they don't leverage that in the store experience.
My viewers right now are, the ones that are watching and are interested, are responsible for the digital signage networks in their stores, or they're responsible for creating the content for the digital signage screens that are in their stores. What do you bring to them? Why would they want to talk to you?
Well, I mean, my perspective is to represent the technologies and what retailers are trying to do with those technologies. So we look at performance, so retailers that are outperforming their peers versus those that are not, and we kind of tease out some of the differences that those retailers are doing. For example, they tend to be the ones that are more collaborative with their trading partners than the ones who try to go it alone, and so highlight some of those differences.
This is interesting stuff for me because it's part of my world that's like a side street, although it's a huge boulevard compared to my street. And it's interesting for me. What's your website? I'm assuming you have a website.
It's rsrresearch.com.
rsrresearch.com. Now, if they go there and all they're going to see is a commercial for RSR Research, they're going to hang up and not talk to you again. Is there data on there? Are they going to learn something?
The first thing they'll see is research that they can download. It's all free. All you have to do is register, and then we publish a weekly newsletter. I'll be writing up my perspective on this show and the topic that I spoke on at this show, so all of that's there.
I like that part about it being free, because I know it was a long time ago that I was in business school, but they taught me that that's better than wholesale.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yes, it is.
You'll see me in a little while.